Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of She Rises live speaker series. I'm Kelly Boyer. I am the host of She Rises and also the founder of She Rises Foundation and a mentor for women through my Clarity Method. And I'm super excited to have everyone here because what this series is all about, what the foundation is all about, and what I truly believe that we are all doing is we are here to help women just rise into their feminine leadership, really trust their own intuition, and just really create meaningful, rippled out change in not only their lives, but in the communities that they serve. And all of that happens right here on this platform. And today's guest is not new to this platform. She's been here several times before, and I'm happy to have her back again. And our guest today is Nan Akasha, and she is a multidimensional healer and spiritual teacher. She channels ancient wisdom from Celtic, Egyptian, and Mayan lineages, and she helps others unlock soul lineages, awaken hidden power, and embody divine mastery. And Nan truly does encompass everything that She Rises stands for. So I'm so excited to have her here. And today's topic is ancient mysteries of the fire priestesses for modern times. So I'm super excited to dive into that today. So everybody get comfortable, settle in, open up your heart space, and we're gonna dive right in. Nan, I'm super excited to have you here with us again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's
Thank
always
you.
fun when you're here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I know. I love to come. We'll whip up some magic, and everybody, we're in such a beautiful moment with all this gratitude energy that we can, that's floating around in people's fields. So we have a lot of beautiful substance to work with today.
We really do. And we're going into the holidays and yeah, I feel like it's just a lot of nostalgia that's happening when we go into the holidays. So perfect. All right. So I really want to dive into your topic because when I saw, I thought, oh, this is so interesting. Fire priestesses. So I would love to hear who and what the fire priestesses are and what they were all about and how and what was their role in like Mayan, Egyptian, Greek, and all the and Celtic traditions.
Yeah, so isn't it intriguing? It's so much fun. It's so much fun to get to say priestesses without feeling like you're going to get shot. or canceled or something, because I've been doing this a really long time, and it's not a word that we really could use until fairly recently. And still, there's some people who resonate with it, but more and more people are saying, "Oh my gosh, that's what I think. I need a priestess path again. I feel like I'm being called by that part of me." And it doesn't mean like you have to get outside of religion. Okay, it's not a particular religion like in Christianity you would say nuns, I guess. That's their version of it, I suppose, but that's a sacred feminine path of something. But what we're talking about is what I call the everyday priestess, the idea that all are priest or priestess. But what I'm really targeting here is it doesn't matter if you're a man, it doesn't matter if you're a woman, what your body is, what you want to be, I don't care. Everybody in form has duality. You have polarity. You can't be alive without it. And we have to learn to understand that that's true in everything. That's divine law. So if you want to become able to be creating your life more intentionally, to get out of trauma, fear, right, to think positively every day, all the things that we wish our life was and we're taught to do and yet feels like it's difficult is because we are out of balance. We do not have a balanced yin-yang, polarity, spiritual, material, whatever two aspects you want to look at. It's replicated throughout nature, throughout history, throughout space, throughout sacred geometry, throughout every form of science. We live in a spiral universe. Everything from what the universe looks like from way out there, like a big serpentine spiral, all the way down to the breath that comes in and out of your mouth, all the way down to the way that your waters or the tears come from you. So we are moving back and forth through time and space. We repeat cycles. We repeat cycles. And how many people here have said, this again? I thought I finished this problem. I thought I dealt with my dad issues. I thought I dealt with this. Why am I dating the same guy again? Or whatever, right? So these are what we're realizing, is that we keep telling the same story. We keep reporting what's happening out there and wondering why it doesn't change, because we keep reporting what's out there. If you don't want it, don't speak it. Don't talk to it. You have to realize that you are the most powerful thing in the universe. And what did someone committed to a sacred path, like a priestess or a priest or a wise woman or a visionary or whatever you want to call it, from whatever era, get out of religion and get out of like lords, gods, or kings being someone better than you? All right? The most important, like, I've studied so many different ancient traditions over decades and decades and decades. And when I arrived where I live now with the Maya, it was like slowly, but now it's woo, it's like the doors have been opened and I'm going, all the sacred knowledge, the true sacred knowledge, not the misinterpretations or whatever, like that keeps opening up. And what is revealed to me is the most, not just like lots of people recognize they were the most advanced scientifically, they were most advanced astronomically, astrology, architecture, math. I mean, they still can't figure out the math. They've had computers all over the world trying to do this for decades. And so because the Spanish burned 99.9% of the books, the wisdom that's coming back and that's been passed down in the oral traditions is now accelerating. We're finding more books, we're finding more pottery. It's the wisdom coming to the surface. You feel called to Stonehenge, there's a reason. You feel, like you want to start studying a particular tradition. What is the Celtic goddess tradition? I spent 16 years in there and it's still integrated in my life. I raised my children, to call the directions, to talk to the land, to respect the spirit. All of them come down to the bottom line. Everything is alive. There's no God outside of you that's looking at you and judging you. There are no gods. There's not like everything's a god. Everything is an aspect of the divine, whether it's a tree, a dog, the water, the moon, or you. And you all come from the same substance. And so if you chose to come into a body in the priestess path, you would commit to staying aware and not getting lost in ego, to not come down and just forget who you are and get caught up in trauma and believe everybody else owns the power, whether you can have money and, money only comes through a job and I'm never lucky, nothing good happens to me, and just all the history and trauma and abuse and craziness that we've seen in our human history. And it's ending. There's no platform for it anymore in the spiritual structure of the ninth wave of consciousness. It's unity now. You cannot keep attacking yourself, but we see it and we're playing it out. We're seeing it moved out. What this means is you have to make a commitment to your spiritual path, to the promise you made the universe. You have to remember you came here with a mission, and it's not to pay your bills on time. Okay, it's not all the stuff we were all taught, like, oh my God, I got a speeding ticket, I'm the worst person in the world. Okay, who cares? All right, live the 3D life the best way you can, but don't give it all your time, all your attention, all your energy, and all your power. Don't make it the number one part of your life. Don't give it the place that gives meaning to what is happening to you, because the physical world is a teeny tiny little bit of reality, and reality is made up of many dimensions and all kinds of other stuff. And whether you're interested in all that science that's proving the sacred things and whatever, now the bottom line is we came here as divine aspect spark, got into a body that was designed perfectly for what we wanted to do. We chose this time because things were going to accelerate, and we chose every person that we've interacted with And we had a choice all the way along the road. Maybe we didn't go down that road and we didn't interact with a bunch of people who could have been a part of our lives. And maybe we went this way instead of that way. But they were all chosen. They were all there for a reason. So we're kind of taught that we're just like suffering and we're struggling and we're figuring out for ourselves. And maybe your family's not being supportive or nice, or maybe you were told that you can't do what you want. And so, all of our lives, most of us in the Western world anyway, were raised to chase success, to try to be good enough, to get enough money to feel safe, to get enough money to please your mom, to get the right position or the right car. And it's never ending. There is never enough. It will never be satisfied. It is a craving and it's the state of desire addiction, a consciousness state where your emotion body craves and your mind lives in disappointment and you're enslaved. It's literally what that state is. What does that mean, you're enslaved? It means that you can't think for yourself. You can't go out and have a beautiful day talking to a tree because you're over here worrying about your bills. You're worrying about who did what to you. You're mad at the person who did that. You're wishing, well, where's my prosperity? I've been meditating and asking for it. Where the hell is it? When's it going to come? And you're using the laws of the universe against yourself over and over and over, like kicking yourself in the face. It's like an epic cosmic mess that we're in, and yet we're rising through it. It's like a transcendence when we accept who we are and that we're here for a reason, and that there's no way we got here without help. There's no way we came without support. There's no way we came without what to do. We didn't just get like, here's a bunch of crap you're going to have to deal with. Good luck. That's kind of what we feel sometimes, but it isn't true. We're incredibly and infinitely and divinely reflected. So if we could stay in, I'm fabulous, I have a purpose, I have a mission, the universe said it would support me if I lived my mission, I'm remembering my mission, I'm following my bliss, and every single day something miraculous happens. And I might have millions of dollars in the bank the way that my ego says I should, but look, I'm having the best, most fulfilling life. Right? So being a fire priestess, being a priestess at all, is the idea that you are respecting your spiritual purpose and nature, powers, path, and everything that was designed, which is a lot, to support your mission. Now, you have choice. You could live your whole life and never, ever, 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 ever even know you're a spiritual person. You could just be happy being on a farm, or you could be miserable, married to people you hate and living a job you don't, and putting other people's them being happy above your being willing to say what you want, because that's what we all do. If you guys remember the Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, that was very profound to me when he said, well, most people put other people's happiness above their own, and every time you don't speak your truth, every time somebody said, well, you were supposed to do this, and you say, oh, you know what, I really can't today. Well, why? I have something to do. Oh, but maybe you say, I really need some alone time. I really need some meditation. I got to get myself back in balance. And what would most people say to you? Oh my God, that's so stupid. That's not as better than what you're supposed to do for me. They're going to judge what you're doing. You don't tell anybody else. It's none of their friggin' business what you're doing, right? And you start to prioritize it. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit before we go into like the more specifics about like what's the difference of a fire priestess and what do the different traditions bring. But the idea is we're awakening the sacred feminine, and we have to come into balance. It is not to make the sacred feminine better than the sacred masculine. It's because both of them been out of balance, like this. The 10-ton weight fell on top of the sacred feminine, no rights, no voting, my gosh, that 3 years before I went to college and I got a bank account, and I didn't know that 3 years before that women couldn't get bank accounts without a man signing off. Yeah. I didn't know that till like this year. I don't feel like I come from an era like that, but when I was little, I was not allowed to wear pants to school, and I lived in Chicago. So I had to walk in the snow and then take off my pants to be appropriately allowed into school. So, the idea of the feminine not just being like, be afraid of your intuitive powers and maybe you're a witch and all that really expanded stuff, but the entire power within our minds and our culture and our families of women being valued is not high. And we have to realize that we are all conditioned with that. So we are not valuing ourselves. And we just finished a class called Sacred Alchemy with the Ancestors Magic. And it was stunning. And it was 20 days in a row. And there was a man. It's always like a lot of women and my husband, right? So, but there was this unbelievable man in there. And it was so wonderful to have that energy, because he's like super in his techie head going, I'm creating spiritual technology so that people can expand their consciousness and, all this stuff, which would not be the way I would approach it. But many people need someone to teach it that way. Right? And then he comes to this super mystery class, which ended up being following the Mayan day sign energies and numbers, which is another whole mind-blowing sacred time thing that we live in every day and never knew. And he said it completely blew open everything. The ideas, he was finally be able to put his idea into words, so this seems like spiritual, sacred, ancient mysteries married with new technology. Maybe your purpose, your path is to raise that part of you, trust your voice, trust your intuition, start to say, well, who am I? Everybody was a priest or priestess at some point, regardless of what tradition it was. It means you understood the sacred ways. You understood everything was sacred. You walked in a sacred way. You lived in a sacred way. You honored everything and thanked the sun, the moon, the wind every day. I do that. I live on the beach and I live far away from people, and I carve out 2 hours every morning to walk on the beach. It's often way before dawn. And it feeds every part of me. The part of me that needs the nature, that needs the connection without noise, without people, to spirit. The time to, speak with my guides, the time to walk and get my body moving, I'm barefoot on the sand. So I'm touching the earth, and there's all kinds of energetics that are happening, right? Healing and flowing. And these are things that I know most people don't do, can't do, or haven't woven their lifestyle into be able to do. So I'm going to let you go to the next step.
Oh, okay. So, well, there are so many good points in what you just said, and just in my observation, and even in my own connection with source, when I love information. I like to ask questions, and then I wait, and I'm like, ooh, I get answers, right? Or guidance, I want to say, more than answers. But one of the things that I've really noticed, which is why I feel like your work is really important right now, is that we I'm going to say we kind of as a collective, we really shifted away from those ancient teachings. And those ancient teachings, and I'm not knocking this because I really do believe that like the different modalities that we use really help us in our healing. But we've gotten so far away from the ancient teachings that we've forgotten what really I'm going to say what the cosmos really functions on, which are those universal laws that you're talking about. And, kind of in my study, my research, my meditation time is that it really hit me that, oh my gosh, if we could master these ancient teachings that came from the high priestess and the priests, and even in that, and I always kind of relate it to that ancient Egyptian time, but like the Greek high priestesses and priests, and like you mentioned, the Celtics, the Mayans, all of them,
Sumeria, Peru, Native Americans, they all have a different way of speaking it. They might say a different word, but everybody had that direct connection.
Right? And what I'm realizing is that when we can not just logically understand it, but actually be able to put it in a sense of practicality, and we look at the universal laws, we actually can live in harmony and flow. And when something comes up, that's when the beauty of that modality, or whatever, if you want to do chakra healing or whatever, comes in. So me personally, I've really shifted my way of living and being is Am I living according to the divine, like divine laws? If so, and this comes up, okay, well, now I'll find the thing to help me get back into alignment with, like, I'm going to call it the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So, um, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I feel like your work is really important. The other thing that I wanted to highlight was the man that joined your event. Oh, kudos to him, because I think that, like, we've been conditioned to think, well, this isn't for men, this is
Oh
for
yeah.
women, and that's it. In fact, not to put something on the spot, I actually had a gentleman reply to something that I had sent out on my email in regards to an interview that of a summit that's coming out, and he said, I think this is for women. And knowing what the interview was about, I don't know if she interviewed a whole bunch of women or not, but my response to that was, it may be women on the show, but what you'll learn also helps in healing the masculine.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I do feel like we're breaking these paradigms, and we're breaking these paradigms, especially like having people like you really step up and be like, you need to look at the big picture, not what we've been so entrained to think.
Yeah, because what we believe is an illusion, and that's okay. Everything is an illusion. We're divine beings who thought the universe, but the universe took a long time to be created. Okay, in terms, if there was time, that's a whole other conversation. However, the idea is, like, first there were elements, right? And then there was, so there was air, and then there was wind, and then there was chemical. I mean, there are all these building blocks and these structures, but they're actual conscious things. They're consciousness. They're like, instead of me coming to be me, maybe I came to be the wind. And I'm holding that. The Maya believe everything's alive. They didn't call anything gods. They called them lords, but not like, European lords that are over you. It meant they were the master of that thing. So the Lord of the Wind would be the master of wind, the master of bringing you the breath of life, the person you want to be around. Hey, you're the best. I want you, and they would speak to that. And then they wove it through their calendar, through cycles of sacred time with the human calendar, they called it, which is like what we use for astrology and Maya. And then with the solar calendar, and then 20 some other ones, because they could understand the interlocking nature of the universe, which is why they could prophetize with such accuracy all way out past now. And they never said that the world was going to end in 2012, by the way. That was some gringo who made that up. Unfortunately, while they were over here going, no, that's not what we said. So anyway, very common. But the idea that we are coming into balance, and like I say, I don't care if you're a man, woman, pink, polka dotted, whatever. Okay, you have to realize that you're divine and you came with a purpose. You have to realize that your human body is very important. It's the temple for your divine being. Instead of us walking around hating it and judging it and thinking it's too this or too that or not enough that, or feeding it bad stuff, or whatever we're doing. Of course, I understand when you're younger you got your phases. Okay, I was a big partier. Believe me, I don't drink anymore, but I drank plenty in my life. So I loved dancing. I loved it all. But now it's like, not that you can't do that, but it isn't the purpose of your life, right? It isn't to chase. When you have everything feeling okay, you're not stressed, you're not in distress, what do most people do? Go look for something to be stressed about. Most people, that's the psychology, is like, okay, it isn't even like everything's perfect, which that's a whole other paradigm that I work with my students, because they never expected to get what they wanted. But it's true, we aren't. Years ago, I had my first client that ever came back and said, she's like, what's wrong? Everything was going so well. She goes, I have everything I want. I have no idea how to deal with this. What do you do? I'm not prepared for this. I don't know how to receive it, how to handle it, what to think about to do next. It completely slayed her. So you think about that. We spend our life chasing, and not being, embodying. So the sacred path of Maya made everybody in the community learn sacred teachings to a certain level, regardless of who you were. Okay? And then if you were going to become an oracle, a seer, a priestess, a high priest, whatever, then you went further. Okay? And you went through the temples and initiations and learned all the stuff. And what you're learning is what they called, and what we call magic, which is just physics. Okay? It's just understanding the laws of physics on many dimensions. okay? And then you have to understand time, and you have to understand things work in a spiral, and you have to, but it's not like weirdo, like poof, bang, there's a ghost, okay? We're talking about that this stuff, though. We all know this stuff. So the rise of this wisdom now, and the reason we're here was to spend all these years in our lives and the last 6 years of this crazy decade unraveling and breaking down and cracking the egg and waking up to, let's not do any more of this. So let's just not do any more of this. Like, war. Well, don't talk about it. Do something else. Start to create a different world. I stand over here very resolutely creating a world of peace, harmony, and light. I do not get involved in the conversation unless it's relevant to me and I'm meant to be a part of it. In which case, I do a lot of ho'oponopono, forgiving the universe and myself for being part of creating that problem. Okay? If it comes into your awareness, you're part of the problem. You're part of the creation. But we were taught that it's polite to go, oh, you poor thing, you're a victim. Oh, it's terrible. That person should be, oh, that person's bad. And let's make a law against this person. And let's just judge everybody. Do you know where you are? You're in the second lowest state of consciousness. You're in guilt, emotional state of blame. Do you want to live there? You do not. I can promise you, you do not want to live there. You can't see, you can't move, you can't hope, you can't feel good, you can't create, you can't experience bliss, you can't see the harmony all around you, and you're never going to access the state that says, oh my gosh, it's already done, it's right here, wow. So all the sacred teachings for the Maya was that you must understand that you are a part of the village, you are a part of the community, and you're just as important as every other part. The king was not better than people, okay? This is our European upbringing. The king had a role that, in my opinion, was pretty damn hard. He had to be a priest, or she had to be, actually they had two of everything. They were really into this idea of polarity and equality, all the way down to there was always a high priest and a high priestess. There was always a woman and a man calling the rest, and then the east, if you know, like native, direction calling and ceremonial things. They had schools for the sacred feminine university, and then the sacred masculine, and then the combination. So this is baked in. And you would understand that your part in the community was like a puzzle piece, and they valued the individual above everything. Because if you're unhealthy, if you're poor, if you're struggling, if you're angry, if you're abusing your wife, if you're unfulfilled, if you're unsatisfied, then you are not going to have a healthy family or a healthy relationship or contribute to society in a healthy way. So you put the whole thing off balance. And so they immediately, when you come, they do your birth chart, and I'm doing these right now. Oh, it's so much fun. The birth and destiny chart from Mayan destiny chart readings, mind-blowing. And you know immediately. And then the whole community says, oh, so I'm Ish, which means jaguar. It's the pure sacred feminine sign, the jaguar, medicine, and the earth mother and the grandmother who transmutes everything, like composts all your crap, is my life guide. And I came to go through all this shit and transform myself and then teach others. That's like what that came through. And I would have been raised as a shaman and a dekeeper if I had raised in that society. So in my own weird way, I found my way there after 60-some years. However, the bigger picture is, if you were living your purpose, you wouldn't have a family telling you, why are you doing that? I want you to do this. That's not realistic. You won't make any money being a musician. You can't do that. I want you to be a doctor. You need to go in the military because we think so. Whatever. Women can only be secretaries and nurses, or whatever, all this kind of stuff. Our culture is more trained to say, you can't have what you want. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to be happy? I don't know about you, but you're too happy, and you're too trusting, and you're too this, and you're too spontaneous, and you're too, until I shut down and tried to please everybody and nearly died from that most of my life. So we're in a position to wake up now that's unprecedented. And so the elements are beings: earth, water, fire, air, ether. They're living beings. The directions have beings that have decided to come instead of being a raccoon. They've been asked to be the direction, the gatekeeper, the embodiment of the archetype, of the power, the medicine, and the energy that could come to you from the West. Now, I've been raised in a lot of different sacred traditions, and they're different. Like the Celts think colors completely different than the Mayan, the indigenous, and which direction goes to what, but the concept is the same. And so fire is one of the elements, and fire is the element that is the most important, because without fire you cannot have life. You can't have life without air. You can't have life without water. We understand that. But the only one that can't be polluted is fire. You can pollute earth, you can pollute water, and you can pollute air, but you can't pollute fire.
Well, fire is also part of like that alchemy of purification.
Exactly.
So I guess I clicked for me. I'm like, yeah, that totally makes sense to me, because like, you burn it off and it comes.
It's like the violet flame. Many people use the violet flame or violet light of fire. I was taught it's a ray of creation, right? It's the seventh ray of creation. But we've worked with it a lot. A lot of people are conscious of it. It's become very tangible on the planet, and it's usually related to very like soft, beautiful, compassionate energies. Like Kuan Yin holds the violet ray. However, when you use it the way it's meant to be used, it is a flame, but it's a high frequency flame. It's not like, oh, I'm burning to death, You bring it in and whatever needs to end, whatever you are done with, whatever you speak that you were willing to release, and you trust your inner self to say, okay, I'm done with all this poverty. I'm done with all this not feeling worthy. I am done with all this up and down income. I don't know exactly where all of it is inside of me. I don't know where beliefs, which ideas about myself, my worthiness, my self-image, I don't know where I'm carrying it. I'm sure it's in lots of them. I'm sure it's in lots of my lives. But guess what? I'm done with this. And it's time for it to be transmuted. So in many, many cultures, fire ceremonies are a big deal. And I used to go, it was called the Reformed Congregation of the Goddess. It's around the U.S. And we would do at least once a year, but once a year, we had this big, 5-day outing. We would be somewhere, and if we were lucky enough, we could have a huge fire. And I am such a fire priestess. It was like we were next to a river, and there was a storm before we got there, and huge tree trunks and branches were laying there, and I was dragging them into the fire, walking through the fire all night long. It was so much fun. So fire is an element that's a living being, and we can fear it. We can go, oh, but there's wildfires, if you've lived in California, that consume lots of land and burn down houses, and, they can burn you, fire. However, what was one of the best gifts in ancient times? The fire. When you were given the fire, you had light, you had heat, you could suddenly control your life, you could create more. We're looking at a higher frequency of that, to the esoteric, the metaphysical, to the sacred geometry, to the divine source of the idea of the fire, because fire priestesses speak to the flame. They speak to the fire just like it's a person, because they know it is. They don't go, well, I hope you're a person. They don't hate it. They don't blame it. Okay? You see what I mean? Like, you build a relationship. So becoming a fire priestess was usually the first step in a lot of initiations after whatever that cultures may have been. What they may have been. But if you think fire and sun, and then you look in Egypt and you see all the people with the giant sun disk on their head. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's lots of reasons why. It's got tons of symbology, but the sun is fire. Mm-hmm. And it's sitting on your head, which is your crown chakra. Okay, and you have all these coronets. You have all these little chakras around here. They're called coronets. It's like if you'd put on the crown, boop, boop. That's why they wore crowns, to try to amplify their coronets. Like the little gold spikes, and then you put the jewels. Oh, I'm going to put a jade there and a ruby there, and that'll amplify my intuitive skills. It's all about that, like headbands and feather bands and crystals here for priestesses, whatever. They were all putting that on their head to activate all of this, right? They weren't stupid at all, because the lords and the kings of Europe, that many of us understand more as a cultural paradigm, they all had advisors. They all had spiritual advisors. They all had psychic advisors. They all had astronomers. They all had mystics. They all had wizards. They all had high priestesses at their beck and call. Because again, even though they weren't a Mayan king priest here, where the Mayan king priest wasn't like, I'm better than you and I'm taking your shit. It was like he had to play his role. So he had to know when the storms were going to come and protect his village. He had to go up that pyramid. He had to learn. He had to go to the highest level of priesthood. He had to be able to take all the sacred medicine. He had to be able to shamanically journey through time. He had to be able to speak to all kinds of entities. He had to. That was his job. Right? And so then he had to come down and interpret it and say, okay, the best thing for us as a community is going to be to do this, to do that. We're going to need to start preserving water. We're going to build this new thing. We're going to whatever, okay? And there's a lot of ancient cultures that lived this way. We might call it an oracle, right? So my first past life memories that I remember was when I was 3, and I remember being an oracle in Delphi. And I knew my parents started buying me all these Greek books because I was like spouting all this Greek stuff, and I knew all the gods and goddesses. I knew everything. I went there when I was 9, and I was telling the guide that we were with, oh, that's the temple of so-and-so, but nobody, I'm 64, nobody knew what a past life was back then. So it was just like, yeah, that's cute, whatever. But I had vivid memories specifically about being a priestess of Athena and their sanctuaries for her all over Greece, okay? And, but at Delphi, the sanctuary of Athena is where they were raised. They were only women. They were raised there from very young, similar to like the Buddha type people or the Dalai Lama, right? They look for you. And they know your purpose was to come in, right? To come in and to fulfill this sacred mission. So they go look for the next Dalai Lama, right? Or they go look for the next chosen one in some different field. And so we are moving into the year of the fire horse, in case anybody is interested in Chinese astrology. This year is the green wood serpent. So you probably heard many times we're in the snake year and we're shedding, and yes, we are. So remember so stop every so often, stop and say, have I let go of what I've shed, or are you trying to walk around with pants around your ankles? Okay. Did you go like, I'm done with that. Why am I not moving any faster? We've got to go in and then purify it, clear it, thank it, give it permission to go, and give it to grandmother Ishmukane so she can turn it into some pearls for us, of wisdom. So, but the idea that we are moving into, okay, and I just did a show with my astrologer, so we really need to be very seriously aware. We have been in an earth energy. We've been crawling on the earth. Okay, we've been shedding and going through the transformation and awakening our kundalini and our koyopa and all the other things that the serpent means. Yes, but we are going to leap into the fire horse. So if you don't think things are going to go faster next year than anything you have ever felt in your life, don't complain about what's happening now. Say, okay, good. This is training. I got it. I'm good with this. What's this mean? Can't sit around and try to figure it out. There's no more time to blame anybody else. I'm not going to speak that. I'm going to throw it in the fire, throw it in the fire, throw it in the fire, throw it in the fire. Burn your incense, burn a candle, go do a bonfire. I don't care what you do. Imagine a fire. Put a fire on the fireplace in your TV. But you have to start. I have a shaman who like gets a toothpick and a candle or something, you put your intention in the toothpick and you burn it or something like that, like,
I love that.
Right? Whatever you can do where you are. But I can tell you that idea is going to transmute and transform things very, very quickly. Now, the energy of fire, the essence of fire, the fire being, okay, is a spark of the divine spirit of your soul. So it isn't just all these other elements. It is like you carry layers of deeper wisdom. You're not just a mom, and you're not just a this, and you're not just a that. You have things you don't even know yet. You haven't even uncovered them yet. You haven't gotten to the point in your life where you've let go enough of that and learned enough of this that the door flies open and go, holy cow, look what I am, right? And this is the fun. This is what we're in right now. It's just be in the present moment and don't be surprised. Don't hang on to anything. That's going to end. This is going to happen. That's going to open. When's it going to happen? Don't say that. There it is. There it is. There it is. So the fire can be called on as a wisdom and to ignite your spark of your soul, to bring the fire back into your belly. You can literally speak to it like the fire priestesses, because they are one with the consciousness of fire. And the consciousness of fire goes beyond physical fire, just like we do. So its body is fire, just like our body. But it has limitations. Its essence, its spirit, its purpose, its divine, global, conscious, or what do you mean, like eternal purpose. Because in the scheme of this entire universe, which, by the way, whether we get our act together or not, the entire universe is already on a plan. Mm-hmm. It's going forward. We can go, we can stay, we can fall off, we can suffer, we can scream, we can do whatever we want. But just know, and if you keep up, it's the best opportunity you've ever had in any life of your soul ever. And if you get too attached to people who complain, listening to fear, and trying to figure it all out with your mind, and believing what's going to happen is going to be based on the past, it's not. Nothing that's going to happen is going to be based on the past. It may look like it to you because you're speaking your past into it. So the fire priestess will be the focus of our school this coming year, the Sacred Magic Mystery School. So we're raising the sacred feminine. We're diving into the Celtic, the Maya, the Egyptian, and the Greek, and some drawing from some other Native American traditions that I have. I have wisdom keepers coming from different traditions, to druids and Mayan priests and wisdom keepers and other people that will weave in and out. We'll have live events. We'll have online events, but the goal is to awaken within you a primal understanding that you're the only one that can awaken the spark of your soul. You're the only one that can give it permission to leave the fear, leave the vows, start to come into the center, feel safe, embody it, become embodied, because that's why you're here. And to me, every single minute is precious. Like, it's not even precious, although it is in the way that we were taught, like, oh, my grandma's died and I wished I'd spent more time with her. Of course that's precious. I'm talking about a way bigger picture, because you're part of not a community, you're a part of the entire world evolution and the entire galaxy. And the when the Europeans thought the world was still flat and they were sending people here thinking they were going to India, the Maya were mapping the Milky Way. Okay, so there's such a disparity in our understanding of wisdom, which is why like you said earlier, ancient wisdom, it's don't hand your power over to anybody's interpretation of ancient wisdom, because there's a lot of misinterpretation like crazy, which is why I've become like a mystery solver. Especially here in the Maya world. Oh my God, they spout the crap you've never heard. Oh, they killed everybody, they sacrificed everybody, they chopped everybody's heads off, they pulled their hearts out. No, they didn't. Period. I know people who have directed Chichen Itza and dug for them. There's no bodies, there's no heads, there's no truth. It's all a bunch of, so all of this stuff, whether it's that or anything else that you might think. I was very afraid to go into the Celtic Wiccan and the goddess world. I was drawn to it, and then I'd feel sick to my stomach and I'd leave, and I'd go look at a book and I'd leave. And that went on for like 2 or 3 years. So a long time ago. And now I understand it's because the fear wasn't because it's evil, it was because I was probably killed and condemned for doing it and knowing it.
Yep.
Now it's a duh, like we all know that. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do just want to share Jen's comment. She said fire is her BFF and that she's a fire girl.
yeah.
And then she also just commented, she said, I love that Nan continues to speak about talking to everything. I've had conversations with everything around me for as long as I can remember. I never questioned it and thought it was what everyone did.
Yeah, I know. It's wonderful. Well, most people, when you're little, you're very aware. You always find children talking to a bush or talking to their cat or talking to whatever. My sister was horrifyingly embarrassed of me. She was 4 years older, so we'd walk down the street and I'm like, oh my talking to invisible things and being happy. And she's like, you're horrifyingly embarrassing, yeah. So it's true. And it seems a lot of these things that are coming up that we've heard for a long time in a lot of teachings and law of attraction, and not just the New Age and now, but I mean, some of these books were from the 1800s and from the 1940s and from 2,000 years ago, okay? It's the same information that keeps coming back to us in a new way to help us remember who we are, because we are not living what we're meant to be living. We got stuck in the mind, the era of learning to use our mind to manifest stuff. We got stuck in it. That's the greed, that's the consumerism, that's the I have to have, and basing your success on that. My life is successful because... or my life is successful because I have the most loving relationships, or I love myself, or I'm channeling the most beautiful poetry. Like, that's kind of what you're meant to be, What if they told you, you're meant to be a poet, just go write beautiful shit and tell everybody, and you will be supporting us. Oh, no, I have to do something way more important and make $1 million, So we got stuck in that, and that was the masculine era. And then we went through an era of learning the feminine wisdom, which was the water. And we kind of didn't tune into that too well. And now we've arrived at unity where we're supposed to be putting them together. So we're playing catch up. It's one of the reasons that our world is struggling so much with the transformation. But don't think in any imagination that it's going to be easy to take a universe and a world that's been hundreds and thousands of years inside of these conditioned, limited, manipulated mindsets of truly believing you're bad, you're a sinner, you're not good enough, you have to achieve, you have to prove, you have to please other people to be safe, you can't do what just, endless. And it's normal, so I lived inside of that paradigm. I did, and I tried to live there, and I tried to please everybody, and I did all of that, and I'm grateful for all my experiences and all the stamina that I learned. And I'm really grateful for when everything fell apart and I got kicked out. So every time my world fell apart and it felt like the world was ending, now, of course, I look at it as thank you so much. Because I don't want to be living this moment like most people. I don't want to be living this moment from a belief system that there's no other aspects to me, that there's no real divine purpose for this, that we're all just terrible and horrible things are going to happen forever and whatever else people believe. I couldn't live that way. I wouldn't live that way. I wouldn't even stay. I'd just say, next, I'll go to another body, go to another place. Done with that. Right? So we didn't choose the easiest thing, which is why I know every person on this planet needs to remember their fire wisdom. Because it will ignite a new, it's here this next year. These years are there for a reason. They're like everything else. The universe has designed it to push you forward.
Well, it's all part of that cycle,
It
right?
is.
That universal cycle. Yeah, nothing happens by accident. So, and I agree with you. I really feel like, and just my own experience in what I've watched around me, like this has truly been a year of shedding. And I can't tell you how many people I've talked to and they're like, I think I've got it all. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, oh my God, I'm going through it again. And I do feel that we right now, I feel like this whole year, has been fire. Like it has been that alchemy that we've been going through, that first part of it, of stepping in the fire and just purifying. And then we step out and we're like, I feel shiny and new. And then something happens and you got to step back into it, right? But I do feel that it is bringing us into the next stage, which, I really do feel like we're burning. I think we're kind of getting a taste of the fire right now, so that when we really step into the fire, yeah, like things are going to accelerate. Like it's
an interesting
Yeah.
year, because in the Chinese it's a snake. So to me, the first thing I think of snake is fire, because it's kundalini and
Yeah.
it's transformation. And the very first oracle deck I ever had was called the medicine cards. I don't know if anybody knows these. They're Native American cards. Those from 40 years ago or something. And they're all animal totems, okay? And they're very Native American, US Native American things. And they have the I suddenly forgot what we were talking about.
Fire. We were talking about fire.
Fire. Oh yeah. So the snake card. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything? Living in so many dimensions at once is always fun. So yeah, that card, when I pulled it, actually scared me because I was new to all this. I didn't understand the mysterious esoteric meaning to things. This is all very, very new. And I was like, it was like transformation, and I'm like, like it scared me. It's like, like what's going to happen? Is everything going to just fall apart? Like what does that mean? And then we have, very well embedded in most Western cultures is the yoga culture, right? The Hindu culture, the idea of Kundalini, but we don't understand what Kundalini is. So yes, you have these two meridians, masculine and feminine meridians moving through your body, Ida and Pingala, and you can see the caduceus sign on every hospital everywhere that nobody knows what it is. It's an ancient Greek, sign that represents your 8 original cells right here at the base of your spine that has your spiritual codes, not just the codes for your body that your body formed out of, right? There's your body. So it also holds your spiritual blueprint. And that's where the caduceus starts. So the two snakes come out, and they do this. What are they doing? They're going through every single chakra, balancing masculine, feminine in every one of your centers. And then the heads dump here. They don't dump up here. They dump here into the 6th chakra, into the eye, into the all-seeing eye, into all those glands in the center of your brain that make up the all-seeing eye, the pituitary, pineal, hypothalamus, all that stuff, right? And then when you are able to be balanced enough, to feel safe enough to release, because where is that hiding? In your sacral, where all your shame is, where all your fear is, where all your sabotage is, self or others, where all of your dungeon time was, where all your torture memories was, where all of your fear of retribution and criticism and not being good enough, and then all the ideas you created about yourself. None of it's true. You're perfect, fabulous, and amazing. So I hope you can just jump out of that as best as you can and start being the puzzle piece you're meant to be. But that idea, and I have clients who have children and friends who've had massive Kundalini awakenings. Maybe you've seen that, where people can't function. They don't understand numbers. They have no logical brain. They're like staring, what are these things? They're completely in their sacred feminine side. They've exploded out of logical linear. They can see as if they're standing 80 feet tall, through everything. They can see what people are doing. They know what you did in your past. They can tell you right there. And this one girl who told her dad, "You stop lying. I know everything about you. I know what you did in your past." She had this Kundalini where he's like, whoa, So yeah, it can be very, very scary. I knew a man who was like a, healer, and he had this. He was like, "I want to have a Kundalini awakening." He was doing everything he could without any. See, what we do in my schools is what I've learned through all my schools through many, many years and studying with the shaman and the real people is you have to awaken this in the right way for you. You have to know how to create sacred space. You have to know how to honor your body. You know how to increase your capacity in your light body to take more energy, right? You have to rewire your mind and all the levels of your body. You need to be able to activate, cleanse your light body with a few words, with a few thoughts. These are not impossible things. Everybody can learn this. It's just we weren't taught them. They should have been taught at home the minute that you could talk, right? Or before that, right? So you have to do this in the right way. So that is very scary. However, what did they tell us that is? The coiled serpent is potential. This is your potential. This holds all of your potential, and it is fire. It is very fire. Now, on the fire side, the Maya, they also have a word that sounds just like it. It's kun, many different words. Kun dal lil ni. That's Kundalini. Kun dal lil ni. And they have a whole goddess for that. And they have a goddess, a mother goddess of the sacred fire, who trained all of the sacred fire priestesses and is very alive. She's been working with me recently, like, whoa! And we're doing 2 retreats, like in December pretty soon, and then in March, where we're going to many of these sites, and we're going to be doing sacred work and stuff. And but they call it usually koyopa, which means lightning in your blood. So they believe that your blood also carries these codes, this coiled potential, like your Kundalini down here. So when you have a day sign like like my day sign in the Maya, part of the aspect of it being very high magic, being very, jaguars walk between the worlds. They can see in the dark. They go from being the sun to the nighttime sun. They go into the dark, no hesitation, right? This is part of the magic or the energy of being it. And there is this, what they call the blood lightning, the blood messages. So if you're intuitive and you go, oh, I get tingles all over when I know that's the right answer. Oh, there's, one guy I used to work with, he said, oh, I know I'm supposed to work with you. And I'm like, why? He goes, because I got this shivers that went down my back. And every time I get that, I know it's telling, this is the truth for me, right? What is yours, right? What is yours? So this is what's awakening in us, whether we're conscious of it or not. And it's very powerful. So right now, the December retreat that I was invited to be a part of, which I'm so honored, it is a Mayan elder priest who is been given permission by the elders to begin to prepare people for 2027, which in many cultures, like human design, they talk about that being the big year of transformation and stuff. And so they call it the year of the sacred fire. They have a word for it, Chikaban. And it's a new era, a 52-year era of the Pleiades, which is where they came from a place called Maya. If you haven't heard of it, it's there. And what happens is that it's called the era of peace. So it's sitting there. Like if you're driving down a freeway and you're coming to a crossroads and there'll be 3 tunnels. Do you want to stay in the world of war where we are now? Go for it. Don't do anything, don't prepare, don't believe, don't take back your powers, don't speak, don't pay attention to coherent your mind, your brain, your thoughts, and your feelings, because you've got to do it. And my Mayan teachers tell me, there's only one ticket. Become unconditional love. Oh, okay, no problem.
I'm like, wow.
Oh, just that, okay.
Just pull it out of my pocket and put it,
All right, I forgot. Let's do that and have a cup of tea and we'll be done. Like, what? Of course, that's what we're doing, right? So, but if we know that, and we often don't know where we're headed on a spiritual path because we feel uncertainty, because we're looking to the outside world to trust. So the fire is part of the cycle. You can see we're going in 2 years into the era of the sacred fire, and I could enter into peace. Well, I can tell you every minute of my life is focused on being in the moment and facing my fears and looking at what's going on and what is spirit telling me to do, and am I pushing it through ego? I will not waste one more minute of my life living any of those old patterns. And I've just found a new big carpet of old beliefs embedded in that grandmother Ishmukane showed me the other day, like you lay out a rubber mat and then you put a carpet on top, like that. Like I've gone through these layers of some of the old core beliefs about who I am that I came in with, because we're meant to complete these things. Like, you don't have to keep marrying the same guy, right? You can think yourself is better and find a good partnership now. And that was okay that you did that. Just let go. Don't blame anybody. Don't blame yourself. Don't blame anybody. Please don't stay down there. So she showed me this mat that's kind of like those where they chop up plastic of different colors and then they embed them in like a gray plastic blob, and you see the speckles, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like for a gym mat or something. I don't know. Like that's what it looked like. And all the little colored speckles are all the chopped up pieces of what's left of the core beliefs of what I came with. And I can tell you that they're way down there. Like, I didn't even know until the last 10 years or 5 years how deep these went. Like, I was a people pleaser. I didn't think I was good enough. I was always trying to be the best. I never thought anybody liked me. I worried about what they said. I did all of that, and I was a super achiever and all these other things, right? And I knew that, okay? So, I got that. Oh, that was because of my dad, and I'm pleasing this person. I've been through all this stuff like you have. But I know, too, that it's not like, oh, boom, that's done. Sometimes, you just chop your ego head off. That's part of the initiations in the Maya a sacred tradition. Is you do see a carving at Chichen Itza of all these light warriors, and they're all full of feathers and stuff because they are light warriors. They are priests and priestesses who have gone through all the initiations to remember who they are and to find all their Shibaba, all their underworld, and to face all the trials of am I good enough and my ego and this and that. They have to go through all that. That is what the training is. And when you reach the highest level and you get to go to the primo pyramid to have the uber initiation, you have to cut your head off. But not literally. You're cutting your ego's head off completely. And everybody is standing there. So when you see the carving, it's pretty stunning when you actually understand it instead of listening to the guides over there spewing a bunch of crap. Oh, you play ball, and then if you win, they chop your head off. No, they didn't do that. So how would you have anybody to play ball anymore? Okay. So the point is that it's an initiation court for playing all kinds of sacred alignments. But the man that is kneeling on one leg, holding the knife that cut his own head off, by the way, nobody else cut it off for him. He cuts off his head, and he's holding his head down here. And guess what's coming out of his head? His neck, where he's cut his head off. This enormous tree. 7 serpents come out of his neck. 6 of them start going off like this, and 1 grows into the tree of life. And it's full of fruit, and it's full of flowers, and that's who you are when you cut your ego's head off. You grow into the tree of life that creates a world, that produces beauty, that holds fruit and sustenance and nourishment for people. You get to decide what it's like. You get to finally let go of your kundalini. Those rise within you, and now you free them. And that's really what we're doing without having the guidance of the ancient schools as much as we used to.
Wow.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, I love it. As you're talking about this, my whole body's all, oh, this is so exciting. You know, it really, like, it really is an exciting time to just, we find, like, I think a lot of people are starting to wake up to going, like kind of like you said, like, this role that I've been playing is not me.
No.
And I've just been a marionette, you know, dancing along to what I've been told, like what I'm being told to do. And now, a lot of people are waking up and going, no, this isn't me. And really they're trying to find and come back to that. Like you said, chopping off that ego, the tree of life coming out of the neck. That is who we are.
Exactly. And it's all here. It's all inside of us.
Inside.
That's the other thing. Every tradition, I can promise you, every tradition I've studied deep enough to get to the core love teaching, right? Past the dogma and blah, 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 is that it's already done. It's already here. It's already inside of you. Mm-hmm. You know, I used to say, we're here on a fully funded mission, but I still had the idea that it was out there.
Yeah.
You know, that the infinite field is out there, and that all my good is out there, and that if I say the right prayers and I do the right things, again, I'm doing that masculine patriarchal thing. If I do it right and I do it enough, then I will get. That's chasing. That's literally telling the universe, I have to work hard for 10 years to get this. They will provide that for you. No problem. So don't blame anybody else that it took you 10 years to get that. Because this lady that the sacred retreat that they're doing, they invited me to be a part of, so I get to work for 8 days in the sacred places and going to sites and doing ceremony and leading my own things. It's just like a dream come true. But the lady who's part of it, she channels an ancient high priestess, an ancient Mayan high priestess. And she said, oh, I forgot what we were talking about again. What was it?
We were talking about coming back to who we are.
Yeah.
And the tree of life. And you were talking about the retreat that you were going on.
I know. Oh my gosh. It's going to come as like this. All these little things are connecting. There's like too many things to share with you guys. So.
Exactly. Like, I think it kind of goes back. It's all connected, right? So I just...
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, one of the things that happened to her was she's been here for 25 years. She's Canadian, and she's been working with the Mayan elders and doing sacred work and stuff. And then she had physical thing with her spine, with her sacred her sacral coccyx. It crumbled and she had to have it rebuilt, and then she spent 2 years and she's still in a wheelchair, and she died like 5 times, and she hasn't been able to walk. And yeah, it's been very, very interesting. So I'm not sure why. I can't remember why I was going to share that. But what I love about her is that she just talks very matter-of-factly about the fact that she could have chosen to die or she could choose to stay. And she was very conscious of it. And that she works with Ishmukane, Ishel, this is Ishel. This is Mother Earth, Mother Moon, Mother Rainbow, Mother Medicine. There were priestesses of the green serpent. This is to represent both their awakened third eye, their awakened kundalini, but that medicine of the earth. So they were priestesses of medicine of the earth, of herbs and things like that, right? So she's been working with them. She goes to the sites like I do. She sees them. They talk to her, And she said they were there with her the whole time. She was in and out of her body in the hospital and everything. And they said to her many times, "It's no big deal if you don't want to come back. You come work with us on the other levels. Come on, come work with us on the other levels. But if you want to stay, then your job is to help other women, other men remember who they are." And that's what we're doing. We're bringing back the Sacred Feminine School. We're bringing back the Priestess School, the Priestess Training, not to be a particular priestess and to be like a religious leader, for you to use this in your everyday life. The wisdom of the elements, if you've ever taken any time to, do ceremony or go to a sacred circle or a powwow or something, if you've ever stood and called the directions, called the elements. I did a whole year once with a group of women in the Celtic schools that we had around every element, right? We did the 4 elements, and then there were months, so there was like deep journeying and journaling and working with the symbols of it and realizing, like, what do you do with your fire? Have you buried it? Have you hidden it? Have you turned it down? Or does it come bursting out and burn people, and then people say, "Oh, you're just too much, you're too much, you're too much," and then you turn it down again? That's what I used to do, right? Because we haven't been allowed to be who we are. We're not yet capable to fully operate the full mystery of something like this. But in any way at all, make friends with it, and just realize that as intense as we think the last 2 years have been, we had 2 years that were similar in that in the Chinese, like last year was the dragon, and it was yang, it was a masculine energy, and it always alternates. This year is yin, it's a snake. Both of them were what's called green wood. So they have different elements, not just like, they do metal and they do wood, okay? And so what is green wood? Well, it's new, right? It's new wood. And so it represents growth. So we had 2 years of growth. In the masculine side, we had the dragon, and if you remember, people were thinking big, and the stock market was going high, even though it shouldn't have. It was going, why is it doing that? Because we're dragons, It's like we were like, whoa, and then we came like a rough landing at the beginning of this year, like down to earth. Into that serpent, into like, we're going to go. And then we saw a lot of the crises and the financials and all that. And we knew that was all going to happen. That's one of the reflections of that shift. High thinking, low thinking, right? Crawling, can I see? I'm up high. It's very important to get back into speaking to everything, to understanding that it's all wisdom, it's all there to support you, and that every element, everything has so much wisdom, so much medicine, whether it's your medicine or not. This to me, I kind of struggled with saying we're going to do primarily fire. Well, of course we're going to call all the directions, and we're going to be doing all the other stuff because we have to learn how to be in balance. And yet that's the part, like the sacred feminine, well, it will involve sacred masculine teachings because we don't want to be unbalanced. So of course it will. And then, but the idea is that we need to master that, because if we own our fire, just think about that. You can light your way. You can light your inner path. You can go in any tunnel, in any darkness, in any cave within you. You can call that light. You can call the sun. The sun is what? Many, many different things esoterically, meaning-wise. It is a portal to another great central sun, and there's a lot of other elements to it. So you're connecting to nature. You're connecting to the past. You're connecting to lives you probably had. And then this year is going to take off next year. I'm a Sagittarius, so I love the idea of like, let's run fast and wild. But I've been preparing. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So like that's what I was going to say about the December retreat. The December retreat is specifically to prepare people for the sacred fire that in 2027. So they're starting to do that, and I'm doing this one with them, and I think we're doing another one next year, maybe one or two more. So just keep in mind that you want to pay attention, because 2 years sounds like a long way away, but it is not. So don't wait. Don't keep letting your mundane life, not that you have to take care of your family or your body, be safe and all that, but don't make it the priority in the crisis. It's not a crisis. You know how to handle the physical world. You've been here before. Now give the other part of you some attention, because honey, if you think this is challenging and you don't get to a higher state of consciousness, you don't use the fire as a friend, you don't start saying, because the fire priestesses, or you or me or anybody else who tunes into the fire, we could literally go, oh, Laguna's on fire in California, and you talk to the fire. Could you please go the other way? And it will. It doesn't have any evil consciousness. It's reacting. And it's reacting most likely to, we always have fires here every year. We always have fires here every year. And 50 million people saying that. So they're like, oh, but wait a minute. We forgot the fires in Laguna. They ordered them. They all said that there's always fires. We better make sure there's fires this year. That's literally what the universe is doing. We're like loco. Okay. We're loco.
It's so true.
It's so funny and so literal. Your words are very, very literal. It seems loco because, it's this mystery. We were trying to figure out the mystery, It should be complicated. No, it's simple. It should be, much harder than that. No, it's not really, And you've got to rest. You have to rest. But not like rest, yes, you might need that because you're chasing. But you have to be still. Because guess what? I want this. I want that. I want a lover. I want a soulmate. I want more money. I want more clients. I want happiness. I want flowers. I want to skip down the street and find a kitten. I don't know. Whatever you want, okay? I want it. Great. Guess what the universe says? Yes. It never says anything but yes. We were taught. Mm-hmm. This big bad God says, yeah, you're crap. I'm going to fire you, man. You can't. You're going to be bad. Now, it doesn't mean you don't go through trials, okay? It doesn't mean you're not Hercules. It doesn't mean you don't go through that. You do. That's why every culture has their archetypical stories about the creation of reality and the heroes, because that's us. We're the heroes. We chose to come into a body. We knew that the body has pain, the body has death, the body goes up and down. The moon affects it, this affects it, the fires affect it. You don't come here to try to make everything perfect and walk along like la-di-da, I'm perfect. You come here because shit happens, okay? And then you get opportunity after opportunity, but you don't forget who you are. So you get to walk in those two worlds, and you need to prepare yourself. Be kind to yourself. Say it is time for me to pay attention. Even if you don't know what you're paying attention to, just sit and look. Just look around. Just tell your body, tell your angels, tell your grandmothers, whatever you like, tell your animal totems, tell your jaguars, whatever you want. Tell them, I'm ready to release all this fear and this worry. I'm ready to live in a different way. What is that? I know it's here. I keep hearing it's here. I want to see it. I'm ready to see it. I can see it. Yep. I see it. I see it. I see it. And you can move yourself without going, oh, I see it. I see it. And then you're like, no, you don't. No, you don't. And then you never make any progress. You can move yourself into belief, because you have to believe before you see it. Mm-hmm. And you will receive it before you see it. And we've been taught the opposite. I'm not going to do it until I see the money. Well, I will see you in 3 lifetimes.
Oh, right.
That's what you're ordering. So.
Well, it's so true what you're saying, because people, like, I'll use the example. I really want to be a millionaire, but they don't believe that they're a millionaire until they actually have that $1 million in their account, and that's not at all.
Bingo.
So
that's exactly it right there. You cannot be, see, touch, have, taste something in form that you say, I will be. Mm-hmm. I hope it will happen. One day it'll happen. After this person says this, it'll happen. right? It cannot literally be here now. And if you stand in the here now and someone's saying, here it is, here it is, here it is, and you're going, you know what? I never get what I want. It's never here. I've been believing for 20 days. I've been so good for 20 days. Screw this shit. What did you do? You just knocked that cup right out of their hand and then made it and proved to yourself that it's true. So we need to let go of it being complicated, taking a lot of time, because that is all the stuff I teach is like, let's get rid of delay language. Let's get rid of those beliefs deep within us and let burn them. Just burn them, burn them, burn them, burn them. The Maya have fire ceremonies. It's their favorite thing to do. Fire ceremonies. There was a lady I know who grew up in Guatemala, and her father was an elder, and she said they had no money whatsoever, but they would go scrape together money to buy supplies for a fire ceremony, like wood and incense and candles and I don't know what. And then they drive all over the mountains of Guatemala, like way into the wilderness, because most Maya altars are in nature. And the elders know where they are. So like this sacred cove and that little place in the mountains and this cave. And her dad would drag her to all of them. We got to do ceremony. And sometimes these ceremonies are 5 hours. And you know what you're doing? There's a lot of other beautiful stuff, but you're basically saying, thank you. You're saying, thank you for the air, and thank you for the moon, and thank you for my body, and thank you for this, and thank you, 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 and you're burning stuff. And whenever something comes up to say, I don't want to be thank you say, oh, good, you're there, thank you, come on out, join the party. And you throw it in the fire, right? And it's getting to that deeper stuff, and you raise your state of consciousness, because gratitude is a very high state of consciousness. It is. I just had an article come out today in the Awaken magazine. It's a special edition on gratitude. And so they asked me to write a specific one on gratitude, and I wanted to write about different stuff than other people. So I wrote about gratitude is not an emotion. And it's not something you feel after you get something that you see. It's a state of consciousness that you embody before you see it. Because if you're already got your $1 million or your puppy or your whatever it is that you would really like, and it's in your hands and you see it, and now you believe it? No, you had to believe it before, because you had to insist. You had to keep insisting when all your old patterns kept serving up something that wasn't what you wanted. Oh, here's a half-assed thing. Here's something you don't want. Here's more of that. Nope, that's not what I said. I said this. This is it. This is it. This is it right here. And then you can live inside of it before it's here.
Yeah.
You can be happy before the happy comes, because happy is a state. It's a choice. It's not an effect. Oh, I'll be happy when I get the money. You will, but it'll fade. And then you'll hate the money because maybe the money was a loan that you really wanted, but now you're mad you had to repay the loan.
Right.
That's what most people do with their debt, Oh, thank God I got the debt. Oh my God, I bought my house. And then, 2 months later, you're like,
Yes.
Yeah, so. No, very fun, but you kind of get the idea, and I can tell you that here in the Maya land, and I just got done with a UK retreat, and we're going back there next year, and Egypt, and we're just going to keep going to the sacred places. I go to them all the time. To Thursday and Friday, I will be in a small town nearby that has many, many pyramids, and I'm going to do sacred ceremony, fire ceremonies near them, because with my guides who have called me, because so much shedding this year has revealed those deeper under layers. And so when I saw it, it's like you do this work you don't have to know what you're releasing. You can totally let go of it and never think of it again, and you don't need to know. But sometimes you need to know. So you say, I'm happy to know what I need to know, and I don't need to know the rest. So don't try to chase it down. There's plenty for you to think about. And it was like, okay, like time. Okay, look, you've stripped this all away this year. Here's what's underneath. And I'm like, oh yeah, what are we doing about that? That was just like 3 days ago. I walk on the beach, and she kept showing it to me and rolling it out, and I'm like, take it, thank you. She's the transformer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's some fear. Here you go, grandmother. And I said, what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? I could do fire ceremony here. I could do something, whatever. And I don't do stuff from ego. I try to make sure I'm not doing it just because I think it's fun, although I like it when it's fun. But I want Spirit to tell me exactly the formula, because I've done 17 fire ceremonies on pyramids this year, and I've done on the solstice. I went up at midnight when when they ascended there, and I've done the sacred path of the 33 days of Kukulkan, which is the solar serpent that comes down, filling you with unconditional love on the equinoxes. And so it's like that. That's the kind of year I'm in. Or what's the next super deep dive? Okay, open that door. Okay. So I'm leaving my husband here, and I'm gonna run off over there for 2 more. And it's just, I get up very early, like 1 a.m, and I do ceremony till 6. Now I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm just telling you, like, it's transformative. And if you did it even once in a month, in a copalero, this is a copalero. There's a lot of different versions of them, but it's a burning bowl,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this one is really beautiful, made by a lovely Mayan lady, but there's some copal going in there, and all my other thingies in here. Cinnamon sticks are really fun, but they come in different forms. I have a little tiny one or whatever, but they're the ones you can put stuff in. You put a charcoal little thing in there too if you want, but a lot of times I just take a votive candle. No, is that what you call it? No, the little tea light.
Oh, the little one in the tin, right?
Tea lights, yeah. And if I'm out, because I don't want to burn ants or hurt anybody, I have my shell like this. A lot of people know the abalone shells, right? So I have many of these, and so I have one, and it's all packed up on my pyramid backpack, and I burn a little candle next to it, and then I light lots and lots of handmade incense that lights up big like that, flames. And then I stick it in the bowl, and then I buy herbs at the grocery store. So I'll have chamomile and rosemary and, all that, and I'll just bundles, and I just keep burning stuff. And I talk, and I sing, and I chant, and do my thing, and I burn more stuff. So it's not fancy. You don't need a fire pit. And I do live on the beach. I could go out on the beach, but I have palapas. I don't know if you know what that means, grass root structures out there that could go up. So I don't want to do that, but... Don't light yourself on fire.
I love it. Oh, I do want to ask if anybody, like the two ladies that are here today, do you guys have any questions, any comments? You're more than welcome to come off mute or put them in the chat. As you can see, I'll read them, but I just wanted to check in with them first. See? Oh. Oh, Jen said that she says, I've really enjoyed this talk. Thank you for your time and sharing your wisdom. Kathleen's at work, so she can't be on video. I love it. Oh, so cool. Oh, I love it. Oh, you're on mute, Nan.
I said thank you for bringing this energy into your workplace.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, thank you for joining at work. Oh, she said I always enjoy listening to Nan. Oh, thank you so much, ladies, for being here today. Very grateful. Kathleen, who's at work. Yes, thank you so much. So, Nan, you have a very special gift that you're providing for a donation. It is, I didn't write down the entire title, but it's Divine Secrets to Ignite Your Inner Prophecy. Would you like to speak about that and let people know what they'll be receiving?
Yeah, yep. So I have an oracle deck, which took us 2 years. It came out with last year. We sold out, and then we printed a new run this year. So they aren't on Amazon yet, but they are on our website. And what we did earlier this year is we did a whole class. Excuse me. So everybody who bought the deck came to the class. And we went deeper into not just like how to use an oracle deck. This is not normal stuff, okay? We went into an entirely different way. And I forget how many classes, but like 6, 8 deep video classes of like how you can connect to divination. Divination is divine communication. It is direct communication between you and the divine, you and wisdom. So if you're asking questions in the right way, which is another part of the process of learning, then you know, if you play with oracle cards, tarot cards, if you do runes, if you look at signs, I saw 3 flamingos today, you know, whatever, like I saw 1111, right? We have all these forms of divination, and you don't have to have an oracle deck. However, this oracle deck came through very differently. And so we have that entire class with the deck on sale for the Black Friday and other things in our shop. However, what I'm going to do in 29th of December is I'm offering you a ticket to this workshop. And so we're going to be right on the cusp of the new year. Energetically, that's not really the new year. So it's the solstice, and then it's a little later when the Chinese New Year starts and stuff. But it's such an important moment for us. And so we're going to go in and I'm going to do a workshop on how, and you don't even have to have the deck because I'm gifting this to you. So if you want to, that's fine too. However, this is 3 divine secrets to ignite your inner prophecy, decode messages, and unleash prosperity. Why? This is called the Prosperity Magic Oracle deck. What does it mean? It's all sacred feminine mysteries. That is not goddesses. That is embodiments of an essence. And they told me we are entire realities. We're entire worlds. So what I teach you is stuff like we pick the card, we look at it, and then we go into it. It is a world. It is a journey. These are shamanic journeys. They speak to you. They come to you. I teach you all kinds of different ways to communicate with not just my deck, but any deck or any form of communication. And what's so profound about this, because this just came through and they were like, oh, you've got to do this. So it'll be for sale in our shop, but you guys get it for free because of Kelly. And we're going to look at the law of your inner sight. So we're looking at divine laws, but differently than just like, here's the Hermetic laws. Of course, yes, they're true. As above, so below. It's a mental universe. Everything is created through your mind. Law of correspondence, vibration. These are all very important to know. So at least print them out and keep them somewhere. But we're talking about deeper aspects of you, the intuitive side of you, the priestess side of you, the intuitive side that can receive information through your 360 senses. So we want to go into the law of your inner sight. This is receiving messages on multiple channels you didn't know you had, how to do divine questioning in a completely different way that opens doors immediately within you and allows you to receive answers that you are aware of in the moment and you aren't aware of, that are downloading into all the levels of your being, that then as you go through your day start to just rise to the surface as you need them. We're obsessed with wanting to understand everything in the moment. What does it mean and what do I do next, right? So this is being in the flow. And we do activations with each of these. This is experiential. I'm going to teach you deeper things. And the last one is the prosperity alignment principle. So Kelly has the whole description. We do deep work and we do guided work and we do transmissions, and it'll be about 90 minutes, but probably 2 hours because I want you to, give feedback if you want to. So this is expanding your perception, giving that inner part of you permission to rise up, to be seen, to grow, to find that central tree of life within you, that you can start to be your own center and then reach up and out, because we have roots and we have branches and we have, leaves, and all of these things are aspects of receiving that we can be using. And you have so much guidance. The universe is designed to say yes. And what that means is that if the reflection around you, because that's all it is, don't talk to the mirror and think it's going to change, go in here. If the reflection around you is not what you like, don't get mad at it and don't get mad at yourself. Just start saying, okay, that's interesting. I clearly, created that from something in the past, and now I want to know what that is, or I'm ready to know something. And the universe will provide answers, will provide guidance, will suddenly give you a synchronicity. That's why we're not supposed to know about the how. We're supposed to ask for this divine guidance, and then even if it doesn't make any sense, go do this, and who knows what will happen. So.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Amal, that sounds so packed with so much profound experiences and learning. So thank you so much for gifting that. So everybody.
And you get the recording too. So if you can't come live, that's okay. Don't worry. We always give you the recording.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah. So that is all in, that will all be in Nan's speaker center. Again, please give me a few minutes because I always know that when we get towards like the end of the year, we're all catching up on everything. We're all trying to get everywhere. So give me just some time, and check back in it. I will have all of that in there, including the link, the donation link, and everything connected. It will all be in there. And please know that every single time you donate, 100% of your donation goes towards scholarships for the She Rises Foundation. So beautiful. So, oh, thank you, Kathleen. She says, thank you, Kelly and Nan. This was so informative and fascinating. The workshop sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you. I always learn so much when we do these interviews. So thank you so much for just your time, your energy, your knowledge, and your wisdom. Ah, I'm always so grateful. And a huge thank you to our two ladies that joined us today for showing up and just being part of this, and everybody else who will catch the replay. So much love to all of you. And just so you know, if you are in the US, you will know this. If you are outside of the US, you probably also know this. But this Friday, we're taking this Friday off because we are in Thanksgiving. So I will be cooking and enjoying time with my family, but we will be back on December 2nd with another speaker. So if you are in the US or even if you're not, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Nan,
Thank you. Yes,
thank you
thank
so much.
you. I just think we should just amplify that. That's one of the secrets to changing your life, from there's not enough to there's more than enough, is, blessing and multiplying everything. I have 2 cents, bless it and multiply it, and then give it to somebody and see it growing. So it's a beautiful time to give thanks to everything. And we have that current, like you said, coming up from a lot of people who are actively doing things, and it's probably a hard time for some people. Some of my clients have had somebody very close to them pass recently, and then that makes the holidays a little harder. And if you're going into the holiday season with that as well, know that again, you have a choice inside of you, right? You have a choice to sit down, to breathe, and say, I'm going to enter this with peace and find the joy. There's some place for me to find joy. And don't do what you don't want to do. If you don't want to go to noisy parties, don't do it. It's okay. Kind of.
I agree. I'm like, that is the standard I live by. I sit there and go, do I really want to do this? Nope. Okay, I'm not doing it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So thank you so much
Thank you,
again.
Kelly. Love you.
I love you too. And a huge thank you to all of you. So much love from my heart to yours. Enjoy your holiday. Be safe. Give lots of love to one another. And as Nan said, huge blessings to all of you. And until next time, everyone, I'll see you then.